Good morning, guys. We're just gonna head back to the forest. Maybe 400 yards, 500 yards behind the house is where we saw those tracks yesterday. I want to do a quick analysis here because I've had a few comments, people saying that I just glazed over it, it seems odd, it seems weird. No, to me, they're just boot tracks, not mine, but somebody's walked through the back end of my property here this winter. So when I looked at that, that's what I think they are. And they are from, we've lost 2 feet of snow here in the last 3 weeks. They are from before we lost all that snow. And they're frozen right into the ground. They've gone through many freeze-thaw cycles, I can tell from looking at them, and they are right full of pine needles, bits of bark, twigs, all kinds of stuff. They've been here a long time. I'm gonna say 5-6 weeks, maybe more. So we'll take a closer look. I have brought a tape measure. We can measure them. Now you have to keep in mind that these are thawed, right? They froze, they thawed, and as they melt, they expand. So these tracks are going to be bigger than what they would be when they were created. But we'll take a closer look at them because people are asking me, and I'm not being subjective here, I'm being objective. They're there, I showed you guys, I thought it was interesting that they looked like there was toe prints in there, and it really does look like that. But I am, like I say, 90% sure it's a boot track. Now, another thing that I thought could possibly explain this is that the animals all walk in the same tracks out here. If I go for a hike in the middle of winter, you can be sure that the following week, if we go back and walk in my footsteps again, the deer and whatever's around at that time of year will walk in my footprints. So, another thing that this could be, I'm not ruling it out and I'm not saying that's what it is this is spring. Black bears are coming out of hibernation. We do have black bears here. There could have been a black bear that walked in those boot prints, giving it a toe-like appearance. I'm not saying that's what's happened here, but it very well could be. I think personally that it's more of just a melt-thaw cycle that gave us something that looked an awful lot like a bear footprint. Just for comparison, here are my tracks yesterday coming out of the bush. And you can see the amount of stuff that's in there. There is a little bit of stuff that could have been depressed. What I stepped on something there, but it could have fallen in afterwards. And you can see there, it's soft, it's fairly melted. It's still soft in the bottom. These other ones that we're gonna look at will be frozen solid. Here's my tracks from yesterday. This is where we stopped to examine. Here are the tracks we looked at yesterday. So there's one of them right there. And you can still see where I was talking about where it looks like toe prints. It's just a shadowing, and this one here kind of has the same thing. There's just some freeze-thaw stuff here but look beside it. There's like a print in a print. There's a print, there's a print. And these are so melted and they're rock hard. They've been here a long time. And they carry on down here. That's my footprint from yesterday walking that way. I walked right beside them. That is one of the old prints. I mean, there's no toes here, it's round. Look at it, it's frozen and it's completely round. So it's just the way those other 2 or 3 tracks back there melted, because this is round like a boot. Let's take a measurement, because that's one track. But if we look at this, guys, here's the track, right? Right here is the track. This is all melted around it. Look how much is melted around it. So there's, 5 inches melted around where the track is. And that's normal. If you walk through here with your boots and made a trail this winter and it melted in the spring, that's what it's going to look like. Okay, so from the tip, right here, the front of the tape is in the tip against the rounded frozen curve, right to the back of the track is right here. 13¼ inches. And we've got a width across the heel, 5 inches. That's human-sized. Let's measure mine. So mine is 12 inches by 4.5 across the heel. So my boot size is 10, and to me that looks like somebody with maybe an 11 or a 12 size boot walked through here at some point in the winter. And I do have neighbors who go for hikes, they go snowshoeing, they do whatever. They don't always ask, they just go, right? And I don't always ask them, so we just kind of have that understanding, hey, don't shoot me if I'm on your property. So let's take a look at the rest of, you can see it goes here. Let's take a look, we'll measure the stride. Okay, so the best I can tell, the front of this print is right here. And I've put the tape at the heel. It's right in line with the heel. Again, they're all melted around, so I'm going from the outside of the most melted part here on this one. And we've got a stride length of 20 inches. We'll leave that tape there for a second and we'll just take a look because, guys, they do look like Bigfoot prints. If you were just to look at these, that has the shape. I could see, you can see the shape of a foot in there, the dark part. You can see the shape of what looks like a foot in there. And again, the shadows looks like, a toe. And these are completely different than the ones we looked at yesterday. So I can only go by size and stride length. That's definitely within human capability. Yes, they look funny, and I think that's how people get tricked. Because when things thaw and melt and refreeze and melt again, that's what you end up with, some funny patterns. This one has a dog print in it, or a deer print. That's a deer print. So there's a deer print right there, inside of that track. Right beside it is a rabbit track. So they do continue on here. There's another set of deer prints right there going through. And they kind of disappear, like you can't really see them here as much anymore. You can see the darker spot right here that's frozen. Again, that's rock hard. That's been there for 5-6 weeks, maybe more. And it goes off through the opening here in the bush. These definitely have a gait to them. Right side, left side, right side, left side. They are not in a straight line, which we'll talk about in a second anyway. I know it's perpetrated on the internet that Bigfoot walks in a straight line and there's no gait. Guess what, guys? Every animal has a left-right gait. If you've got a left-right foot, that's just the way it is. The way your hips swivel, you're going to have an inside and outside. It might be less on some animals. The fox walks a nice straight line, but there is still a left-right side. So whoever, people saying they have to be in an exact straight line, we don't know. This has never been documented. Nobody has ever seen Bigfoot walking, leaving tracks that we have filmed and looked at the exact same time that we know have never been tampered with. So we don't know what kind of trackway these are going to leave. Yes, they would be deeper. We know that because of the weight. If these were in mud, then I would definitely take a closer look and say, hey, we can get a better idea of what these look like. Because we have freeze-thaw cycles here going on, all bets are off. These melt once, you lose all context of what the original track looks like. And they can start to look like strange things, like bear footprints, for example. So I'm not being condescending, but I do have 40 years of tracking experience, deer hunting, moose hunting, you name it, bear, whatever. We hunted up here, and these tracks are old, and they are not Bigfoot. That's my breakdown, my analysis. So guys, I hope that clears up any questions we had on the tracks. I wasn't trying to glaze over them. I just honestly believe they weren't a Bigfoot track, and therefore we're not going to go into detail. I'm not here to trick anyone and say this is a Bigfoot track when I really don't think it is. I just found it very interesting how closely they looked like bear footprints. Could it be a bear walking in there? Absolutely. Could it just be a melted, freeze-thawed boot print? Absolutely. I think that's what it is. You guys are still entitled to your opinion. What do you guys think it is? Let me know in the comments down below. Keep in mind the sizes that I showed you match human size footprints. Be scientific, people. Be scientific. Did I ever tell you guys about timber giant Bigfoot and his... I used to watch that channel, and before... I was not going to call him out on that because I don't even know if he's still running a channel. But I watched a lot of that stuff and he had some good stuff. But the day I finally stopped watching was when he found the 18-inch tracks in the snow. They were army snowshoes. It's what they were. Anyone could tell just from perfectly round, you know, oval in shape, human spacing. And he went on and on about the Bigfoot. I'm not going to do that to you guys on this channel. I can't and I won't. Now, I'm not saying that timber giant Bigfoot did not actually film one of the most compelling pieces that I've ever seen, which is the Bigfoot sitting in the forest. You see a red, hairy backside, and it's clacking rocks together. I think it was breaking nuts of some kind. I always thought that was a legit capture. So, you know what? I can't knock a guy for being enthusiastic, but I think we have to remain scientific and don't let our judgment get clouded. When you see something like that, guys, you have to think it through and say, what else could this be? Logically, 18-inch prints in the snow, you know, 2 feet apart, are human tracks on snowshoes, right? We have to logically think through that.